Hi, and welcome back to Speak, where I, Crystal Danbury, Elisa Lynch, and a wicked guest called Ray, she's going to introduce herself in a minute, are coming to actually answer the question from an audience member, which is Ray. So, as usual, this is an honest, learning, open space. We don't edit. This is a real conversation between three people, and we'll get stuck right in. So, Ray, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, thanks for that. I'm Rhaynukaa Soni. I go by Ray. I'm currently the head of safety, health and safety for delivery at East West Rail. I've just been there for over 3 months now. Prior to that, worked with the likes of TfL, High Speed 2, and Crossrail. And there's a reason I'm mentioning that because the question that I'd raised was about changing, how do we change sectors within the health and safety? So stay within health and safety, but move between the different industries and sectors. And I find it fascinating that despite my many years now in construction, and I still don't see myself as a specialist, but I absolutely love construction. Who doesn't? I find it interesting the range of responses I get when I talk to different bits of construction. So, for example, house builders, residentials, will look at me and go, "You don't have enough building experience. You don't understand construction." And this is when I have just come off a program that's built, a £500 million box for Farringdon Station,
Yeah.
or led on just shy of £600 million worth of enabling works, which included exhumations and demolitions and utilities works.
And
Like,
you don't have experience.
no,
I'll
no.
get it, mate.
It's like, what am I meant? I genuinely don't get it. And then you've got the other extreme, which is if I wanted to go into retail, or if I want to, and I have again tried this, if I want to go into events, oh yeah, but you don't have event experience, so sorry. You brilliant CV, great experience, but you haven't got event experience. You just know they're not. Although, and I don't get it, because my fundamental point that I make is, how many health and safety at work acts are there?
Mm.
What? When was it written? 1974.
Yeah.
It literally applies to all of us. Yes, there are industry specifics. I get that. That there will, food has its specifics. You've got CDM, you've got various other things. The broad breadth of health and safety remains the same regardless of where you go. We have work at height, we have falls from height and all. We have manual handling, we have people plant, we have not. I don't get it.
Yeah. I think, well, I mean, the first thing that's on my mind is, obviously I am a multi-sector person.
Yes.
So I really love this topic. But interestingly, Elisa, you are construction background. Does it feel the same to you? You've got that same experience of being trying to bust out of the box?
Yeah, I specifically remember going for an interview for my first construction safety role, having come from civil works, so
Right.
roads, all that jazz, utilities, and then like, but you don't have construction experience. I'm like, I have fucking steel toe cap boots, right? Okay, they're covered in shit. I've done this. I went this way and you're going that way, so I can, yeah, just stick a tower crane on it. Let's go, like whatever. Like, it's just, you're just doing the same thing on top of yourself upwards. Do that?
Yeah.
Like, it's what, like, it's hard? Like, come on. And it's just risk. It's just safety, and it's just people doing different shit.
Yes.
So yeah.
And with some residential builders, it's doing the same. I mean, I remember going to a new build estate. It wasn't a housing estate, but new build estate. And I remember walking through it and going, my God, I've been transported into Legoland. Every single house was identical.
Yeah.
And there was a part of my brain that just went, oh my God, how boring must this be? Because after you've built the first couple, you kind of should have worked out all the kinks and the risks and the challenges.
Mm.
Well, you'd like to think so, but no. But is that complacency and boredom? I mean, I know this is
there's definitely, I would agree, there's parts of construction that it is very samey.
Yeah.
And actually that's what will drive you to the brink, because you're like, Jesus fucking Christ, we're still getting this stuff wrong. We're still like, and they are building the same building over and over again.
Yeah.
But I think especially with construction and construction outfits, they are so wrapped up in their own importance. It's like, oh yeah, but it's different for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but nobody can do it like we do it. Or like, you just wouldn't get it. And you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, lads, it's not the Taj Mahal you're building.
Yeah.
Because that might actually be interesting. It's a housing estate.
I think that's so. What's one of the things that I wrote down? So I always write down a couple of bullet points myself of what I think of the question, like what springs to mind. And I literally have got here, every industry is special in inverted commas, because everywhere I have ever worked, and because I have changed sectors, when I worked in nuclear, we're special. You know, we're very special. It's so high risk. It's so special. And then I went to rail and it was like, oh, it's so it's, you know, you think nuclear was difficult. Rail is so difficult. You'll never get acronyms like rail. And then you go into transport. It's just so different though to, right. I mean, you were on rails before. This is the road now. And then you go into telecoms and they're like, yeah, but it's so different because our people are now, yes, okay, they are driving vans on roads, but they're now going up poles, which is very different to ladders and things. So you wouldn't understand. And then you go, but you know what's the same thing is safety is not difficult.
No.
And anyone that's making it a dark art is trying to keep their job safe. Simple as that. We do one thing. We identify hazards and then we either remove them or we reduce the impact.
Simples.
That's it. It's not difficult. And those hazards can be a pole, a vehicle, you know, a moving train in a depot. It can be a forklift. It could be whatever. All we're doing is using our expertise to say, how best do we manage this hazard and how best do we manage down the likelihood or severity? That's it. And I think you're the sort of this big open question about how do you switch industries and get away from but we're special. And then when you're trying to break into that other industry, they're like, but we're special and you won't understand. I'm like you sort of said it, Elisa. It's like, so you're humans and you're dealing with what? You're dealing with what? A machinery of some sort, probably a vehicle of some sort, loads of humans making their own decisions, of varying degrees of competency and hierarchy. What really makes a difference is culture. Are you hiring competent people? Are you supervising them effectively? And are you treating them like human beings and giving them everything they need to succeed?
Wow.
Cool. Okay, should we do some work then? It just doesn't feel complicated because safety is the same no matter where you work. It's the industries that feel that they're special.
I one of my favorite things that I did in pre-COVID was I successfully organized through industry colleagues a bit of an away day. So it was the HS2, my Area South Health and Safety team, client side HS2, with some BBC colleagues and Royal Opera House colleagues.
Nice.
And Fiona was awesome, so she facilitated this at the BBC. And part of the reason was because she's like, look, you know, we've been asked by the Royal Opera House, Dominique. He's like, would you mind? I said, no, awesome. Let's get us all in a room. And one of the first exercises we did of the day, we had 3 big sort of A2 sheets of paper or whatever. And we said, don't go to your own company, but go to the others and write down what risks and challenges you think they have. And straight away, after the first 15 minutes, it was that eye-opener of, oh my God, we've all got work at height and we've all got noise and we've all got people plant and we've all got manual handling. And they're like, no, who'd have thought? You know, and actually one of my bosses at the time walked away and said, yeah, I get it now. There's no reason why someone from the BBC couldn't apply to do my job or I can't apply to do theirs.
Yeah.
That to me was a win.
Yeah. I think the sectors win, like when they stop being so precious. And there's 3 jobs now, the last 3 jobs that I've had, I've been told I was the wild card, make of that whatever you will, and then go in, do a good job, talk about risk, get the job, right? And I've lost my train of thought. You were talking about
the wild card and the sectors.
Yeah, because you were saying about there's no reason somebody couldn't apply for my job.
Yeah, from HS2 to BBC and BBC to HS2.
Oh, who even knows? I'm lost now on
Do
the
you know what I'm
anyone.
thinking
Go on.
is you were the wild card. Were you the wild card based on your CV? So they look at the CV, go, great CV, but you don't have our industry experience, but you're a wild card, so we'll talk to you, and then you crystal the fuck out of it, and you're like, oh, you can
Yes,
have the job.
that's it. And yes, that's exactly it. And I feel like the sector wins, because then when you go into the new sector and they're struggling over something they've been struggling with for decades, like particular type of risk, you can say, oh, and let's just say telecoms, like 30,000 engineers in vans rolling around the country. Oh God, we're really going to have to look at fatigue. So have you ever heard of Hidden from the rail industry? Like, they had a very big catastrophe. They learned lots of lessons about fatigue. Have you then, that all that stuff around Hidden in the rail industry, maybe look at fatigue and the HSE's fatigue index. Let me bring that over here, that you've been struggling with this topic for ages, but this has already been done over here. It's been done ages ago, and we've done so much learning, and not only have gone through one iteration of what a good fatigue index looks like, several, in fact. So let me bring the learning. So I think the sectors win the minute the sectors open up, because the minute it's an echo chamber, right? I'll only get a retail person in. Well, guess what? If retail is struggling with one problem and you're only hiring retail people, you're going to continue.
This, to me, this is why when people talk about diversity, personally, for me, the one bit of diversity that I'm super invested in is in diversity of thought.
Yeah.
I want to hire people from theme parks, from airlines, from, all the different sectors. And it's the stuff, going back to, that is, I suppose, my USP, and I want to hopefully leave that legacy as my IOSH branch, is being, how many site visits can I organise that are in different industries? How do I get, when I first started doing this, and when I first was opening the doors to TfL construction sites, to Crossrail construction, and people were going, I never in my wildest dreams thought I'd ever be able to come and see a construction site. I've worked in the industry, I've worked in health and safety for 10, 15, 20 years, but that's a closed door. And it's like, why? So that concept of, okay, you don't have to have your own, basically as a site, we will provide you everything. You tell us what your sizes are. Here's the date and time, turn up, and we will give you your PPE, we'll give you a briefing, and we'll take you around. And people were going, I remember someone else in theatre saying, oh my God, this is the same as what we do. Yeah. It's like, you've got blokes that are running around to a deadline. We've got to get a show on time. You've got to get a concrete poured on time. Your guys don't listen. They know how to do it best. They're not really interested in safety, even though they don't want to hurt themselves. They've got other problems because everything else is going on. We've got a show to put on. You've got to, and it's like, there was that light bulb moment.
It's all the same.
It's all the same. And I think there's an element of, I feel this conversation is really good. I also feel like I've often done that we're preaching to the converted.
Yeah.
It's the recruiters. It's the people that can do the recruiting that need to change their mindset and go, yeah, okay, you've worked in a high risk industry and I'm in a high risk industry, so come and talk to me. Or do you know what, I'm in a low risk industry, so I've mollycoddled my people, or I've only ever done this, so come and teach me or show me what you can bring from your sector.
Yeah. But like all these recruiters and all these people spruiking shit on LinkedIn about transferable skills.
Oh,
it's like, we have the transferable skills. Let's go. But they don't
like to transfer.
Like, let's do that then. But there's a lot of talk about it, but not a lot of doing anything.
There's not a lot of doing at all. And I've also been interested in some large organisations, mainly consultancies, that I know individuals in at a certain senior level, and they sort of encourage me to apply for a certain role. And they're like, oh, sorry, your CV didn't get up to scratch. I know you can do the job. I know you'd be brilliant in the role. I know you've got all the right skills. You are the perfect person for this job, but I couldn't get your CV past the first sift. It's like,
then what? You're not doing me any fucking favors, then, are you? Don't like.
But to me, if they did do me a favor, they highlighted to me that business only looks at the pamphlet. They're judging the book by its cover. And if that's all you're judging me on, then do you know what? That's not the organisation. You don't have the values that I want to be with.
So, this is so interesting to, especially as somebody that has hired a lot of people, and how I then have to safe health and safety professionals. And we know that I love the profession and I love good people and I love them coming from really diverse backgrounds. But the CV is critical. And this is from a hiring manager, like brutally critical, that you show me in the CV that you've read the job description and you get it, like you understand it and you want it.
Yeah.
But in there can really highlight in your CV how you can do the things in it. That's why somebody from the British Army who's doing food safety in the field for soldiers gets into a pack for retail, because no, I get it. Right, you really shown me on this incredible CV that you are high caliber, but also you can adapt to sort of any environment and circumstance and stuff.
That I get completely, and I completely get that. My feedback was less. It didn't contain enough management jargon.
Okay, yeah,
because like your CV can be unbelievable. Like your CV can be smashy. Like I write a damn good CV.
Yeah,
I'm not getting a job in aviation anytime soon.
And you know what? I don't write the greatest of like my CV is, there's content in it, but the flat, like I've seen some beautiful CVs. I'm like, I know you paid for this template. It's stunning. And it's definitely caught my attention. My CV is pretty dry in terms of its format, content, smashy, right?
Oh yeah, I haven't got any fancy, like mine's just done on my own Word, but like Microsoft Word, but it's pretty fucking good.
Note to self, sending mine to Elise.
Well, I think this is so the really interesting thing. I wrote down, and it's one of those things at the end when we talk about what do we think will make a difference. And I think the neutralizing the CV I found always really helpful, and deciding I don't want to be a construction specialist. I don't want to be a retail specialist. I want to be a risk specialist or a culture specialist, right? Is it change and culture, or is it risk? And actually, if I talk to you about those, because you either want to do one or both of those things.
Yes.
Like you want me to manage your risk and change the culture, or there's a specific in there. But I think you said something really interesting there. I had a very, very similar call when I was trying to break into that when the first job came up at Openreach, and it was for BT's group head of group health and safety, where they're in BT rather than the Openreach job. And I put my CV in and I got the same call, which was like, I'm so sorry, it just doesn't meet the caliber of the other candidates, blah, blah, blah. And I hung up the phone and I made a bit of a big call. And I think I've said this on another podcast. I phoned the agency back and said, I don't take it. I'm not accepting that anybody else in that pack is of higher caliber or exceeds me to the point that you won't even put me in a pack.
Yeah.
And they argued with me on that. Genuinely, when you talk about advocate for yourself, I argued. And Jonathan, if you're listening, I love that you took this challenge very well. I said, I'm not having it. I want you to strip out the personal information of one of these incredible CVs that I don't marry up to. And I want you to send me so I can look at it and go, now I see, like, I am here, they are there. And he stripped out all personal information. He gave you the sort of format and just some of the headlines. He was just like, this is what I'm talking about. There was no reference to industry or anything, but it was a good CV. And I phoned them and said, great, I have everything and more that's in this. This is format. Give me 24 hours and I will write the same CV, but written in this same way.
Yeah.
And tell me if you feel differently about my CV. Anyway, sent it in. And this wicked guy called Jonathan, who I then would only work with him because he took the challenge. It's really important for me. And he phoned me, was just like, wow, yeah, totally. I would have overlooked completely what you had done if it wasn't written in a specific way. It went in the pile and it went in as the wild card. And I was told this. And they didn't give me the BT job because they then gave me the biggest job in group. They called me back about 12 weeks later and offered me the director of safety for Openreach, which is the biggest job in group, with like a £92 million budget, all the lovely things. And you're like, great, I've busted through into telecoms. Genuinely, at the first glance of an agent looking at my dry CV, I was not even worthy of being in the room. And yet I got not just that job, but the better one. Yeah. So I think some of it is advocating for yourself. And if you know you can do that job, and this goes to any one of our listeners listening, if you have had a call from an agent and they're saying really sorry, and you know full well you can do that job, advocate, right?
So much so.
Advocate.
This is where the whole imposter syndrome and not advocating and taking a back seat and stuff. And I look back, and I suppose for me, I love what I do. I love being around, you know, part of on one of my jobs at some point we were gonna have a 350-ton crane. We're now gonna have a 750-ton crane.
Amazing.
It's like, exactly. It's like, I don't need to be there, but please let me know because I want to come and see the crane. You know, it's been a few years since I went up my first tower crane at Farringdon, and I want to go back up one.
I don't ever want to go up one of those fucking things again. Oh, sick.
I told the guys, and it was my first proper site, that I wanted to go up, and it started off with a dull grey day like it has been here today, and then after lunch the sun just came out, and the guys were like, well, look, you wanted to go, why don't you go? So I was like, yeah, all right, why don't? Got halfway, and I am literally pooping my pants now. But all the guys, and they weren't, to be fair, they were genuinely all looking out for me, because we had, you know, I built that relationship and it was my site.
Nice.
So they were all kind of just looking up and going, right, is she all right? And in my head, I was like, I can't go back down now. I just can't go back. So up I went. And then what was worse was I got to the top, and the guy's like, oh yeah, I've just had this lift, so can you just wait there for a second? I was like, shit. So I sort of had to wait another 5 minutes. And it was like, I just want to get up, just get me up to safety, which it was also. But I love what I do, but that concept of going into a different industry, and like you said, the fatigue stuff that we've done and we've learned, and we've done it in tunneling, and we've done it in, you know, I don't know if you guys watched the Great Mayfair Hotel, which was,
I haven't seen it yet.
Spoiler alert, they build a fantastic basement. But they actually, the reason Claridge's was able to build that basement was because the Claridge's owner had this bonkers idea, but then McGee's effectively project manager and engineer was even more bonkers that it could be done.
Amazing.
He came out of retirement, and they used miners to build the basement, because he looked at it and said, you cannot keep an existing hotel operational and standing safely while you dig a basement and not moving if you just do traditional basement digs. So they talk through it. The first episode's probably the most interesting, and then the second starts looking at the fit out. But they talk through the technical element of how they dug all these little shafts, and it is miners doing it.
Yeah.
And it's crossing that. I think it was years ago as well, the last IOSH conference. I've forgotten the guy's name, but he's at the Merlin Group, and he came and talked about the Smiler incident.
Yeah.
And he talked about the fact that after the Smiler incident, they realised they couldn't just be inward looking, they had to be outward facing. And they went to the aviation industry to go, how do you do this?
Yeah.
And again, thinking about that, if you look at the level of investigation after aviation incidents, you know, because the other thing that we don't kill or harm people in new and unique ways.
Yeah, it's the same old ways.
We keep doing it the same way. And I accept when I say this, I do not know the details. So I'll put that caveat out there. But I was genuinely so angry for about a week when I heard about the fatality at Hinckley. So angry. Because there wasn't anything in there that one went, do you know what, this was a new type of plant, or this was a new type of, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Tale as old as time.
Yeah.
It was plant people.
Yeah.
And that's the bit that I can't get around, that we've got all of this legal privilege, and we've got this corporate reputational stuff and company confidentiality and all of that. And yet we talk about corporate social responsibility and being a caring employer and being just. And it's like, so why are we not learning? You know,
because we don't share. Not like aviation does.
No.
Now, obviously, aviation were they mandated to end up like sharing?
I think there was something mandated that, because it's the same in rail as well. If there's a major rail incident, there is a system that will take the learnings of the investigation, fire it to all of the TOCs and FOCs in the UK, train operating company and freight operating companies in the UK. So, and rightly so, right?
Like all other, like construction companies are all like private entities and others. They don't. It's like you say, legal privilege. Shutters come down. Nobody say a fucking word.
But it's also those that so you're talking about rail, etc. How many of those then take that learning? How many go, right, that tuck up in Scotland had this incident. So have we done an audit? Have we done an inspection? Have we, like 5 years time, have we done that? And are we still doing it? Again, when I was on HS2, we were speaking to one of our contractors and said, you wrote this best practice guide at Crossrail. You are the author of this. This isn't us. This wasn't Crossrail. You authored it. Are you implementing this best practice guide on this project? And they're like, no, I don't think we are.
Stop. No.
You authored it. It is your organizational document. Why? Why has it not been rolled out? Why is it not being used on every single project?
Oh God. I mean, it dives into that bigger thing about drives me mad about whether you're doing safety to comply or whether you're doing safety to change. And actually lots and lots of people do a very good investigation because it probably looks good in the aftermath in terms of liability and defense and all that sort of thing. So we do really good things. We come up with great guidance, but the guidance there is they're doing it from a compliance headspace. I need to comply. I need to be seen to do the things. And I always give this lovely example of the difference between compliance and change or care. Is your policy says you will report an incident, you will have an investigation, and you say, right, is there a report form? Yeah. Is there an investigation form? Cool. Yes. Anywhere in your review of those does it say about the quality of the investigation, whether there was immediate underlying and root cause, and whether root cause was changed, and not just locally but holistically if you're going to go all the way through? Typically no. People tend to say, I've got my 2 documents. They don't look at the quality and it's compliance, tick, we've done it. But actually, if you're looking at an event genuinely with a mindset of, I must, like you said, you're angry, we must learn from this event, we must change something, and not just for the one event, but for everybody, that's real change. But the majority of, saying big things now, I think lots and lots of health and safety is viewed from a compliance mindset. We have to do A, B, and C because the book says, or because it looks like the right thing to do. We never dig underneath and say, did it help? Was it quality enough?
We don't do the aftermath and kind of go, right, well, we've investigated, we've done these actions. Has it had an impact? 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, what has happened? Knee-jerk reaction, we have an incident. What's the first thing we do? Toolbox talks.
So, okay. There's not enough time because I swear to God I'll blow my top about toolbox talks.
And
I think we need to bring it back around to our original. So the original question was, how do you change sectors? Which I think Crystal will come back to you on. But Ray, what is your dream sector? You give yours and then I'll give mine. And then Crystal give yours.
Oh, geez, that's a really interesting one. What is my dream sector? My gut reaction is that I'm in it is major infrastructure, major projects.
Nice.
And there's a reason behind it, because because it's so big. I genuinely believe that we have the time, the money, the quality, and the resource to be able to impact change. What I've witnessed, having worked in slightly smaller organizations and also the supply chain, is that the change that we implement at that level, at the mega projects level, takes between 10 and 15 years to filter down to industry level. So not, we're making the change at that level. What we're not working hard enough to do is then impact the supply chain and impact the other industries. That's where we need to work harder.
What about you, Elisa? Dream industry, sector?
Aviation.
Me too.
Oh, I fucking love it. But because it is terrifying. There's people flying around in little tubes in the sky. Big tubes in the sky. I find it fascinating. And they just go so hard on the human factor stuff and all that. I don't think anybody does safety the way aviation
does safety.
I'm just shout out to anyone. Hi. I'm around.
This is Elisa Lynch. She is a very, very good safety professional.
I'm fucking
What's
class.
Stopping
come
you?
chat.
What's stopping you?
Oh, Jesus, Ray. Again, we don't have time. We don't have time.
That's another podcast. Why not change?
Yeah.
I actually wrote why change. So mine would be aviation, but I think if I was going to do one more working for a corporate before like retirement, it would be aviation for sure. But I think where I actually probably see myself is I would really like to do change. Like I'd like to work with any sector that really wants to change. I would love to be part of an organization that then goes in and it has, whether it's a rail company, a aviation company, whatever, and just says this is broken, and we're going to throw our hands up and say we really, really need some help digging into the why. Why are we doing it? Why are we here? How can we learn? How can we share? And that just drives back to my like internal purpose, which is I want to make the world a safer place to work, so as much as I can help possible. But if there was like a sector to bust into, mine would be the same, which is just like nobody gets the behavioral stuff, nobody goes as deep into why, how, when, and the root cause than aviation. So I figured, but I don't know if this is a really interesting thing, because I wrote why change there next to your name there, Ray, when you were talking about you think you're already working in it. And I wonder whether sometimes people try and move sectors because they feel like they should. Like if you actually are loving it, is there something in the peer pressure or in what other people are doing that makes you think maybe I should be doing this? So when you're writing the CV, you're in the interview, there's something kind of underlying in you, which is like, am I all in? Do I really want this? Or is it because I feel like I should be trying something different?
I think that's a really valid question. For me, it was earlier on in my career, it was a genuine, I fell into construction, and I fell into my role at Crossrail, and there was a genuine desire to kind of like, okay, I've done that for 2.5 years. That's brilliant. Now I want to go and do something else.
Yeah.
And that's when I was meeting the barriers. I believe, and I know someone said to me that, we shouldn't say we've been fortunate because we've worked hard to get where we are. So I've worked hard to get where I am through all the roles that I've had, and I've actually loved all of them. I've worked in the industry industries where I've thrived and loved all the big projects and the changes that we can impact. I do know, though, there are people out there that either are in an industry they're not quite happy with, or they're looking out and going, oh, my friend's got another job there, or this person's got this job. Now, there is a little bit of this window dressing, which we see on all forms of social media. And I find the best example of this is the event sector. Before I really got to know people in events, I used to love it. That would have been that's the industry that I want to go into, events. And then the more I've spoken to them, the more I realise that is, broadly speaking, an industry where it is about compliance. It's like, does it tick the box? Yes, because we are doing Beyonce's concert, whether you like it or not, or we're putting on that show, that race, that football match, whatever it is, it's going ahead.
Yeah.
There's no questions. And, the hours are long, the salary is poor, because you should be grateful you're working for this big brand, which is, not something I'm used to doing, thanks very much. So actually learn. So sometimes it's more about that industry looks brilliant, but then even if it's talking to someone in that industry and you go, oh, not everything that shines is gold type thing. It's that knowledge of, you don't know what you don't know. So until you talk to other industries, to me, it was probably those conversations, those rejections, and doing the roles that I'm doing that's gone, no, I love talking to engineers. I love value engineering and design management, and I love designing at risk. Something we started doing at Enabling Works was actually saying, these are your two options. So if we do this option, it may cost X amount more or the same. It might take a bit longer, but here are the risk hours that we've reduced as a consequence of doing that. So actually demonstrating that this, whatever method that you're going to do, you're now demonstrating the benefits of it. We've taken out your manual handling, we've reduced people's exposure to dust and noise, we've reduced your work at height, and suddenly you kind of go, oh yeah, I'm seeing tangible benefits.
Yeah. I think so. To bring it right round to the key question, Ray, which was like, how do you bust? And Elisa, you'd brought us nicely back on track to the key question, which is how do you change sectors in safety? I think some of it that you were touching on there, Ray, is exactly it. But I'm going to start one step before showcasing your talent and making sure you really do showcase your talent. And that is to really want it. And that is either trying something different. You don't have to be I really want to be in aviation, rail, whatever. It can be change. I want different. I want to be challenged and pushed. But you have to really want the change. And I think that takes a couple of things. Is wherever you are, you should be being stretched in a positive way, really pushed and developed, and you should be loving it. If it's missing any of those or all of those, it's definitely time to change. And that could be jobs, not necessarily sectors, but really want to change sector. That's step one. The next thing that I would say, and this is, I never did this, and I definitely missed this trick, but people do it to me all the time. And that's reach out, is networking, right? I absolutely hate it. It makes me feel sick in my mouth. And it was Anna Keane, love you, Anna Keane, if you're listening. She said to me once in a coaching session, how do you feel about networking? I was like, don't do it, hate it, blah. This was about 8 years ago. And she said, oh, cool, great. So who knows who you are then?
Yeah.
And I was so offended. I was like, well, no one, but that's why you have a CV and that's why you write in. She was like, yeah, just so you know, that's not how decisions are made. Typically not how recruitment is done or sifting. You have to be, when you are 1,000 people applying for one job, it really helps for somebody to know, oh, Crystal Danbury, I know that name, and I know something to do with Crystal Danbury. So she's like, good luck with the no one knowing you sort of mic drop moment. And she said, look, just try it, just absolutely get out there and try it. And I did. And I found it very, very successful once you're doing it, and not doing it in a dry way, which is I would just go grab a decaf cup of coffee and hide in the corner and hope no one actually spoke to me. Be like, I went to a networking event.
Yeah,
but no,
I went.
Yeah. Did you actually speak to anyone? Did you learn anything? Did you shake anybody's hand and say, where do you work? That sounds really cool. Did you actually meet anyone? And then the other type of networking, which happens to me all the time and I really love, is I get young talent from many, many sectors or points in their career that just ask if they can have half an hour. Can I have half an hour? I'd love to know about retail, or I'd love to know about safety. I'd love to know about leadership, or I'd love to know about your biggest project. Can you spare half an hour? And I'm like, what a bloody good idea. LinkedIn has your safety professionals. It has your directors, your heads of, your CEOs, your MDs. Absolutely. It has all your sectors. Join the groups, start a conversation. It's right there, built for us.
Whole personal brand thing, I think, is, and that's, I actually gave that advice to someone the other day, because I'd put them in touch with someone to talk to. I said, this isn't it wasn't safety, so this is not my sector. Talk to this individual. I've already primed them. They're expecting your call. Followed it up 6 to 8 weeks later, and I said, how did you get on? Oh, I didn't, I sort of spoke to them, but they didn't seem really keen. I said, well, what did you do? So I just had a general coffee. So yeah, they're like super busy.
Yeah.
Go in with a specific.
Come ready. Yeah. And
what is it you want? Have your question ready, have your query ready. What do you want to get out of it? What do you want to learn? Just have that. And I suppose that's the advice that if I look back, that I'd give myself 10 years ago, because I will be honest, I was brilliant at getting mentors. I could approach both of you, people that are more senior to you. I was that person. I could happily go up to you and go, oh, can I grab it now? Can I have coffee? And in my head, me having a coffee with you would mean that you would fix all my problems. You would get me the job. You would tell me, but I would never ask the question. I'm expecting you to solve all of my questions without me asking them, because you should know that's why I've asked you for coffee. Yeah. And it happened a number of times, and you go, these mentoring relationships aren't working. This networking isn't working, because I hadn't gone in with a very specific. And now I'm a lot more focused on who I reach out to and how, and I take that time to prepare and go in with a targeted question, a targeted response, a targeted request. And all of a sudden it opens all these doors.
I think that whole, like, go on, Elisa.
Well, what I was going to say, and it's on that whole networking thing as well, but also is pay it forward. Like, that's a huge thing of, like, I saw this thing on LinkedIn the other day, saw this really cool company that I know, and they're recruiting for specific roles. And then I just happened to see somebody in safety going, I'm looking to change tack completely. I want to go into this. And I was like, fucking yes.
Yeah.
And so message the CEO, message your one going, should we link you guys up? And they're like, oh yeah, great. I don't know, nothing might ever come from it.
Yeah.
But if you see the opportunity to connect people and you don't benefit from that at all, do it.
Yes.
Do it. Keep everyone
Don't be
moving forward.
precious. Yes.
And then don't feel the need to go, look at me, I'm so brilliant, because
Like I just did broadcasting it on a podcast.
well, yeah, you know what I mean. It's the look at me. Can someone take a selfie of me giving this beggar £20? Or
Oh, stop! Oh God, there's no time, because I will fucking go hard on that.
But it's right. It's do it
Vile.
for the right ethical reason,
Do
which
it
is
for
you
the right
can
reason.
change somebody's actual life. And also the other really the interesting thing is don't I would say if someone's asking for that half an hour, do prime them and do prep them, because some of these are young people coming in, don't quite have a handle on the network thing yet. Tell them to come with their question, have an idea of what you want to talk to me about, but also be really open to learning something, because there is a young lady called Maya who I have time with every so often, and she is an apprentice lawyer, and she is phenomenal, by the way. And she asked to have coffee with me and coffee again, and she was talking to me about writing a book. And I was like, oh, I started writing a book. And she said, yeah, this is how I've done it. This is how I've structured my time. And I'm like 3/4 of the way through it. And I was like, oh, 3/4 of the way through it. And it's like 4 seconds after she started, she's like already there. And I then was interesting. I was like, how have you been so productive? You've got social life, you've got a major study going on, full-time job, and she was just sharing the things that she does, that she had, because she's like 15 years younger, 10 years younger than me. She learned in a different way at school. They have got different technology and ways of learning.
Absolutely.
And it's helped me. I've just been like, fantastic. Like, I learned something from her. So yeah, I think the pay it forward, be open, but go and have those coffees, and really just like suss out the industries that take your fancy, because you don't want to be stuck then suddenly in an industry that you're like, oh, this is a bit.
Yeah, because the grass is always greener, isn't it?
Yeah,
get that inside information.
Yeah, I think, and that's it. It's really interesting about the one thing I learned when I was managing a team. I had someone in my team that was relatively young, this was probably their second grown-up job, so to speak. And it was a really simple thing. They'd been on holiday for 2.5 weeks, and they came back, and there was the first day back, which was still their annual leave. They were like, I've got to go through all my emails, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, well, no, stop. Today's your day of leave. So I made them stop. Next day, I said, right, I've sent you an email. Read that email first. Don't read anything else. You've got to read that. So they're going, oh my God, what's going on? And actually, it was when I'd spoken to them, I realised that one thing they'd never learned, because no one had ever told them, was how you manage an inbox when you come back out of leave.
Yeah,
so
mass delete.
Yes. Shh, don't tell them that. But it was that.
I don't do that.
Do you know what I mean? It was that, right, sort your emails. So have you got an email from your boss or anyone senior?
Yep.
That they need dealing with? Then sort it. To me, this is how I do it, subject matter, because you'll probably have 15 which are an email chain. So read the top one, and then do you still need to do anything? Because if you read the first one first, you'll start responding, and then by the time you work your way up, you're like, oh damn, I didn't need to.
It's already done. Yeah.
So it's, again, all these tips and tricks that we've probably taken for granted, and it made me feel really old.
That's the whole pay it forward, pass it down. Like, if you can do both of those things.
Absolutely right, that there is a generation of people that are now approaching us or working with us that haven't got this, and it is our job to kind of recognize it and not take for granted. It's like, look, you're going on leave for 2 weeks, book half a day in your diary. Because I say to people, if you've been away for 2 weeks or more, book your first day back as annual leave. So it's not annual leave, but it looks like you're on annual leave. Give yourself that day to catch up on your emails, catch up on your to-do list, allow yourself to breathe. Don't feel like you're going to come back to hundreds of emails that you then need to do something with and have a 9 o'clock meeting. But it's stuff that we've learned.
Yeah, and I think that's where the network thing is really helpful. Not only networking internally, in your organizations and out. so the other two things on my mind then, so the really want it, the networking thing. Now this is counter, and this is just my view, and please give me your view, and Elisa, tell me if you've done anything different when you've done yours as well. And Ray, I don't make my CV bespoke to the organization. I make it bespoke to the job description, fine, but I don't make it like focus on that I am a construction expert, or I mean I couldn't do it anyway because I've chopped, but I focus on risk or culture change depending on what the job description is really talking to. Do you want me to be a change agent? Yes. Do you want me to simplify? I bring the things in the CV alive in relation to what I'm reading in the job description and what I really, really think they want.
Yes.
And typically I will also phone, whether it's the organization or the company or the agency, and just say, you know, what really switches them on? Like, what are they really after? They're going through major transformation at the moment. What are the challenges? And I will talk to those in a CV. So I like to strip the I am a construction expert if I don't want to work in construction.
Yeah.
I pull it right back up. And then really showcase. I always have on my CV, don't know about you guys, key skills at the top. So just like bullet points of like several things that I'm very good at. And then under each role, really summarize roles. I have key achievements, and those key achievements will always talk to what that job description wants me to do. And then the last one is always apply. Doesn't matter if you don't think you're going to get it. Doesn't matter if you've never worked in the industry. Does not matter. Always apply. Because the worst thing that can ever happen is that somebody knows your name. That's it. That's literally the worst thing that could ever happen. So that they would be my four things. Want it, network, make your CV really applicable to the job description, and then always apply.
Your CV, and I would agree with, map it to the job description.
Yes.
If you send the exact same CV to another, like, your CV should be different for every job you apply for.
Yeah.
And the cover letter.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sure. Look, it's 2023. A cover letter is still a thing, but
I've never done a cover letter. That's the one thing I haven't.
Oh, I smash a cover letter. Oh, you're going to hire the shit out of me when you read my cover letter.
Oh, I've no doubt about that. But then equally, I've got all my jobs without a cover letter, so I sit
there. There you go.
Yeah.
So I do get the CV thing. I do get. You're right. I don't tailor it to, because it's so easy to go onto a company website, and I'll say Sainsbury's just for safety. You're going to go, oh, what are their keywords? And you start throwing in, and it then becomes, it's that too many cooks almost in your CV, because you're trying to match Sainsbury's values and the job values and then your own value, and it's like, oh, this is just a mishmash of things.
And I think that's where you end up. I think so. If anybody is doing that, especially if you're new to the CV job description applying scenario, if you are trying to be too clever with your application, it will look so staged. It probably won't get through anything. I would rather have somebody really passionately oozing passion for, I have done these roles and I loved it and I changed these things and this is why I changed my job and I went to this job because of that. And if it's just a person telling me about why they're great and why they're going to be great here, 100%, even if your format is dry, whatever it is, there's no cover, you're getting in. You're 100% sitting in front of me if you care.
The one thing I would say on that as a caveat is sometimes on junior roles and sometimes even in senior roles, our role is difficult. It's not measurable. So it's really difficult, because I know on CVs they often talk about demonstrate what you've delivered. And particularly when you're starting out and you're an advisor and you're sort of working your way up, you sit there and you kind of go, if you follow the rules to a T, you almost feel like a failure, because it's like, well, I was an advisor. And it's almost bringing it back and going, no, forget what they're telling you. What did you actually do? Think back, because actually in that job, even as the most junior advisor, you may have led on an investigation. It might have been a really basic one, but you led on an investigation. You led on site visits. You led on it. Talk about what you did and why and what you learned from it.
Advocate for yourself. Showcase your achievements.
Because I was talking to a friend who's a civil engineer, and I said for her, it's really easy to go, because she's project manager under the NEC3 contract, so she can talk about how she achieves things to time, budget and cost. She can talk about the delivering to programs. I said sometimes in safety roles, in a lot of the safety roles that I've done, I don't have a safety budget. It's managed in a different way in infrastructure projects.
Yeah, this is a really interesting thing, isn't it? That whole back to the agency piece. I got a call before I joined Openreach from an agency who I will never ever use ever. Asked me what I wanted to do, said I was ready for a move, all the things, and asked me for salary expectation, which by the way, I don't ever share because it's nothing to be discussed until you've had a job offer.
Yeah.
And I think I was walking somewhere really quickly and I sort of ballpark figure. And he said, and I think it must have slipped out. He said, well, you're not worth that. And I said, oh, excuse me? And he said, well, I'm looking at your CV and you've never managed a budget. I said, well, not directly, because I've worked for organizations have a central pot. And if you want something, you go and you say, I'm doing a thing. And he was like, you will never achieve that having never managed a budget. And the next job that I got was Openreach with a £92 million budget. Like, I think don't let somebody say that a hole's a hole. If you don't believe it is and you feel like you can do the job, just ignore. And if somebody tells you you're not worth something and you know you are, advocate for yourself. You know what you're worth.
Yeah, I think that's a nice point to round off on, because we've kind of come through that, and it's come up a few times. If you are hell-bent on changing sectors, advocate for yourself and just give it a lash.
Totally use LinkedIn, because I mean, when I first started doing IOSH, and this does link to, I reached out, I'd never met any of these people. I reached out to Chesington, I reached out to BBC, to ITV, to Harrods, to Eurostar, to host site visits. And this was just site visits through IOSH. It's like, hi, I'm part of the IOSH committee, would love to do a cross-industry site visit. And people are like, what's one of them, please? Got engaged, and all of them held site visits and they loved it. But it was that talking, opening up, and a lot of these people I'm still very much in touch with. So advocate for yourself. Go and find people on LinkedIn. Don't go in with a, Chris, I know you, but if I didn't, and I kind of link you in and kind of go, oh hi, can I grab half an hour of your time? And there's a chance that you'll look at because you will look at my profile and go, okay, she's not an 18-year-old starting off in the industry. I expect her to come with specifics.
Yeah.
And I then come and have coffee. Hi, how are you doing? I've looked at your CV, I've followed your career. It's brilliant. So, tell me a bit more. Like, what?
Yeah.
It's such a broad question. Tell me more.
Yeah, it is. I'll tell you what. So it's probably a nice point to, because we could talk about it forever, right? 100%. We could talk about it forever. But I feel like what we've probably done with the key question, just to round it up and finish off, is there's sort of a couple of really key points in there, really. So how do you change sectors? So according to us, which is just Ray, Crystal and Elisa, so these are our thoughts. The advocate for yourself 100%. You got to want it. You got to network. You got to make that CV fit the job beautifully and really showcase your achievements, and really always apply.
Absolutely.
So I think that probably answers or is an answer to the question, Ray.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining us on Speak. It has been a real pleasure. And
me. Any aviation people listening out there, Elise?
Absolutely. But yeah, so thank you very much for joining us, everybody. I hope you really enjoyed the discussion. I think we did. So as always, please remember, this is unedited, open and a learning space, and we hope you join us next time. Thanks.
See ya.